So what Vincentas thought that would be interesting for you to hear is something about artificial intelligence, because it is big issue, big topic in these last almost 2 years. And in general, about how to use technology, information and communication technology in education. As Vincentas already explained you, I'm engineer. I teach at a university, but I also always invent something. And in the past 30 years, I brought internet to Croatia, started recording my lectures. I have developed a number of tools. Let's skip all these slides about me. Besides teaching technical things, I also teach soft skills like managing projects, change, teams, time, conflict. And as much as I understand Lithuanian, Vincentas told you that I also teach dance. I teach classical ballet, jazz dance, and ballroom dances. So I'm trying to figure out how to teach best. And then also I try to use technology. So I'm using internet, I'm using video recordings. I have developed a number of tools for interaction, for recording lectures. But after 30 years trying to do this, not much actually in teaching has changed, not only in Croatia, not only in Europe, but worldwide. There are very few examples where we can really learn from. And pandemia has forced us to do online teaching, but very few examples of good online teaching. It was more emergency teaching. So what about this ICT in education? Is it just a fashion, a hype, and we should go back to our blackboard and classroom and talking to students? Or is there something else we can do? Since I understand in your audience, there are also people who are principals and managers of schools, etc. Let me explain that from my perspective, we can use technology in administration, in organizational things in the school. Then we can use them as help, as assistance when we teach. And then we can use technology to teach in a completely new way. Now, when we talk about administrating, then today, in 21st century, in 2024, really all non-educational activities, something that has nothing to do with teaching and learning, should be minimized. Teachers and students should be free to teach and learn and not to do administrative things. It should be automated, so computers should do everything that is possible. We should not enter information more than once. All processes should be automatic, and reporting, statistics, all kinds of reports that should be done by computers. So people should not be involved with these boring bureaucratic administrative things. So that students can focus on learning and teachers to focus on teaching. So school administrators, principals, policymakers, politicians, please take care to develop systems and processes which liberate students and teachers from everything that is not education. Now, when we talk about teaching and learning, there is a number of things that can help us. We have tools that can prepare us content. We can have tools that prepare us deliver the content, like PowerPoint presentations, like screens, monitors, online things. We can capture delivery, we can record lectures for later use. We can use technology to organize students, to monitor their work in progress, and also to test them, to assess their knowledge, to make exams. We can use them to visualize things and simulate. And this is very useful. But all these, even visualization and simulations, are only assistance for classical teaching and learning. So what is new that we can do with technology? Are there any new types and methods that we can use? Well, virtual laboratories. Once you have experience in the laboratory, once you can feel, smell, have little accidents in laboratory, so that you know what physical laboratory is, with virtual laboratories you can do many more laboratory experiments than you could do in a physical one. Unlimited number of students can do this in the same time. We can do dangerous experiments and impossible experiments. So virtual laboratories enable us to do some different types of teaching and learning. Extended reality, where we combine what we see from the camera with computer-generated images, are extremely powerful, and I'll try to show you some examples later. Students can test their knowledge and competencies by themselves using the computer. And we can have the whole programs teaching students without humans, and they are scalable. Thousands and hundreds of thousands of students can be taught in this way, like massive open online courses and some other things. Now, let me talk a little bit about this technology and see how to use it. Artificial intelligence in the past almost 2 years has been very important topic in all the news, but I would like to explain that from my technical point of view and teacher's point of view, we don't have artificial intelligence. This is only marketing term. We have automats, which are based on rules that humans have detected or invented. We also have fast data processing. We have computers, even in our mobile phones. We have very strong, very fast computers that can process a huge amount of data, which people couldn't. But algorithms we define, and we define what result we want. Machine learning, which is the core of artificial intelligence, is our third way of using technology. And this is when we give a computer a lot of information and say, why don't you find the rule? I don't know the rule. Why don't you find the rule, physical principle or some other sociological rule that applies to this data? But also the methods that are used have invented people, and the results we want to get are defined by people. And you'll see examples that things are not that ideal as we would like them to be. For instance, let's go with basic automats. It is basic rule. If something is true, then do something. If it's not, then do something else. It's like in our washing machine. If there is enough water, stop valve. If there is not enough water, let the valve be open and water come in. Or if the water is warm enough, stop heating. If not, continue heating. But what when we have more complex systems and we need to give a decision like the all biblical decision? If somebody throws a stone at you, what should you do? If we had time, I would invite you to vote on this one. And I'm pretty much sure that there would be answers from you, all of these answers. In my country, it was 1901 when first woman entered university to get education. So rules change, and different cultures and different groups of people and different individuals have different rules. So putting this into a machine and saying that the machine is intelligent, well, it depends which intelligence we want it to have. The second example of processing huge amount of data, again, we have a number of problems and questions. Which data we will use, how much data, from which sources, for which purpose, who will be using them, and in which period of time data will be used. The example I usually give is a simple chair. If we take all different chairs that we can think of, and we want to we process some data about the chairs, what information about the chair should we collect? If we had time, I would invite you to come up, and you will probably say that we need to have information about the size of the chair, how heavy it is, what material it is, what color the chair is, how many legs, etc. Or what is the type of a chair, what is the purpose, durability, robustness, or who made it, how much does it cost, norms, etc. We could think of many more information that we need to collect. Even one of them, for instance, color. Are you talking about the palette, or are you talking about chemical composition of the paint? If you are talking about the robustness, are you talking about whether it can be in rain, how many times can you clean it, how quickly it wears from using it? If we talk about price, is it a production price, material cost, wholesale price, retail price? What are you talking? So the problem I'm trying to emphasize here is that when we talk about artificial intelligence, we will just pump in a lot of data. Well, it is not the same which data you collect about something, depending on the result you want to have. You say, oh, we have a lot of data about chairs. Let's see let's conclude something about producing it, or let's see concluding something about how healthy it is, or let's see how environmental friendly it is. Depending on the result we want to have, we have to carefully choose data. And this is the problem when we try to make smart machines, smart programs based on one collection of data, which frequently happens. And let's go to the newest thing, which is machine learning. Well, we would like to put a lot of data into a machine and let machine define the rules. Well, do we understand the rules that the machine has figured out? And whose rules are these? When are they valid? How do we agree with them? Very simple question is, if we would give video recordings of traffic on crossroads to a computer and ask computer to figure out what is the rule in this situation on the screen, which car should go first? Well, if you give them video recordings from the countries where we drive on the right side, and from the countries where you drive on the left side, and from United States where there is no rule for the one from the direction from which you come, but the rule is who is the closest to the crossing. It is very possible that this machine, based on this a lot of video recordings, will decide that, for instance, the white cars are those who go first, or the one that are driven by somebody who wears glasses, or something else. So we will get rules, but these rules might not be the ones we wanted to have. And sometimes we won't even understand what rule is machine applying. Very famous example, very old one, is when the machine was asked to say which, in the pictures of dogs and wolves, which is dog and which is wolf. And for this husky, a dog, machine said it's wolf. Later they figured out it's because there is a lot of snow around the dog. So what is artificial intelligence? We have two types of things that today we call artificial intelligence. One's are classification systems, and the second are large language models. Classification systems come in two ways. One is we give computer unknown data, for example, an image of this animal, a shadow of this animal, and want this animal to want the machine to say in which group this animal belongs. And we have groups down here. So we give them the picture of a dog, and we have the group of goats, chicken, gooses, and horses. Where will this computer put the dog? Because it doesn't have appropriate group. Well, this is type of learning which we call supervised learning. Previously, we have to teach the machine. We have to give machine a lot of various pictures and tell them for each picture in which group to put it. Well, the problem is that we people have to agree about the classes, how many classes we have, how many groups, and who belongs, which picture belongs into which group. For example, on the screen you have an insect. It is a termite. And when people ask my audiences in which group of insects they would put termites, most of them say ants, but actually termites are cockroaches. So you see, we have to train machine by giving them example. We have to look in every training example. We all humans have to agree on the examples and on the categories in order for machine to give us useful output. The second attempt is even more ambitious. We give computer a lot of data and say, I don't know the groups. Why don't you, computer, create groups? And computer does this. But the point is, like the one with the dogs and wolves, the point is that the computer will define groups which we don't understand. Why did computer find these groups? How did computer decide? The most famous problem that was in practice is when in United States they decided they have too many people in prisons. Prisons are crowded, and they need to let those less violent criminals earlier from the prison. So there was a huge amount of data, and they wanted machine learning to help them. And after some time of using this system, they realized that the machine never let from the prison somebody with black skin, which became a huge problem. Nobody knew how machine created the rule. And European Union today creates new regulation on using artificial intelligence. And one of the demands is that humans have to understand the rule. It's called transparency, the rule which machine learning is using. But it's actually against the core purpose, core principle of this type of machine learning. So we'll see what will practically come out. The thing that has caused a lot of media attention 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, ChatGPT, are large language models. Well, we know them as ChatGPT, now we have Gemini, Copilot from Microsoft. The point is that people have fed machine learning with huge number of digital text from internet. They selected the sources and they put it. And the machine is trying to figure out basically the probability, which word comes after which. But it's not looking 2 words ahead, 20 words ahead. It's looking tens of thousands words ahead, like playing a chess. So what the machine attempts is to create a text that looks like the one that a human would make. That looks very much a new text that is similar to the text machine has seen. So the first problem we see here is this word selected sources. Some people have to select the sources of text. But the core problem is in the role. This computer is instructed to do what? To make text that looks like the text that a human would write. Nothing about truth is in his assignment. So the computer is not worried about whether something is true or not. So in first instances of ChatGPT, if you'd ask him to give you a link, URL, a link to internet content, you would get a very nice looking link, which is very probable, but doesn't exist. And some people today call this hallucinations or lies, but actually there are some articles claiming that ChatGPT and large language models are making bullshit. Bullshit is a term that was used many years ago by an Arthur, a scientist called Frankfurt, who was talking about bullshitting in public media in a sense that bullshitting is a text, is a claim, is a statement compiled to sound good, but which doesn't care is it true or not. So basically it's just improvisation of a text without any idea whether it's true or not, whether it has facts or not. So this is exactly what large language models do. Large language models compose answer to a question which they believe is probable looking at the other texts that have been there. Probable in a language sense, not in a sense of facts or truth. So does it mean that, the types. So the media is also frightening us that the artificial intelligence will actually exterminate human race, etc. Well, today in practice, we use narrow intelligence. This is what we have today. We have things that do one specific task, for instance, like this, vacuum cleaner or automatic driving car or something else. General intelligence would be intelligence that is equal to human in everything, because from the car, you cannot ask them to make you a lunch. From a vacuum cleaner, you can't ask them to help you with your medical problem. Well, in general intelligence, we accept computers to be as eloquent, as knowledgeable, and as truthful as people are. Well, it is a question if and when we will be able to create it. What we've been scared by from the media is super intelligence. intelligence superior to human in everything? Well, it is a huge question whether it is possible at all to create something. Here I would like to make something clear. I'm fully aware that people are able to use even narrow intelligence for something wrong, to harm people, or people are able to be negligent or stupid and use technology in such a way that it will harm themselves or other people. So we can use very primitive machine to somehow rule us, somehow make our lives more miserable or worse. But if we talk about super intelligence and general intelligence, I think we are many, many decades away from general intelligence. And about super intelligence, I don't know whether it's possible to create it. Because in order to create a general intelligence, first we need to understand what intelligence is. We all have to agree what makes people intelligent in comparison with other species. For instance, is it possible to be intelligent without emotions or without body? A human being behave differently, think differently based on their body. We have here example of a sumo wrestler, and we have example of a ballerina. You would feel differently, think differently, and act differently if you would wake up in one moment in the body of a wrestler or in a body of ballerina. So yeah, we can say a self-driving car has body, it has engine, brakes, blah blah, but cameras, whatever, but yeah, it doesn't have the body like humans, and it wouldn't make the same conclusions, same decisions as people do. Besides, whose logic we would like to implement and whose ethics? There is a very interesting and famous experiment, I don't know if you heard of it, from Massachusetts Institute of Technology called Moral Machine. This is the project where you go to this web address and you will be presented with like 2,000 scenarios like this one on the screen, and you need to decide if this happens, if this situation happens, should the car continue and kill everybody in the car, or should it deviate from its route and kill all other people on the street? For instance, in this case, on the crossing, pedestrian crossing, you have an elderly person, you have a child, you have a doctor, you have a pet. But all of them are crossing the street on a red light. And if we had time, I would ask you to vote. And usually people separate between A's and B's. They can't decide. What this hundreds of thousands of people have already done this test. And the conclusion from MIT researcher is that people don't agree on basic ethical dilemmas, ethical judgments. Japanese very much appreciate elderly people, and they would prefer to kill children in comparison to elderly. In my country, we very much respect children, and we would kill rather elderly people than children. Scandinavian people and Americans prefer to kill everybody who is not obeying traffic rules. In South, we are more lenient toward the rules. So the conclusion is that we people don't agree on ethics. So if we build artificial intelligence, whose ethics it's gonna have? There are other things that we need to understand. For example, I don't know if you will be able to see the video. Not dreaming that they are funny. Well, the point is that we need to understand dreaming. Dreaming has a very important role, but we don't know which. There are many researchers and many speculations. Then the personality. Look at these dog puppies. They have the same mother, the same father, they're born the same day, and they live in the same crib. But still, they behave differently. Some of them are curious, some of them are sleepy, others are always hungry, some want to fight, others want to play. We call this personality. What is personality? We need to understand it. And we still, despite all the research, don't understand many things about human psychology, human intelligence. We need to understand personality traits, empathy, intuition, languages, cultures, creativity. Is it possible that by only studying brain, which is done today, we really cannot figure out human mind? Maybe human mind is something more, something else than the brain alone. Well, so we cannot actually use machines like X-ray machines, magnetic resonance, computerized tomography, to see consciousness, to see abstract thinking, to see metacognition, creativity, ethics, emotions. We can't see them. And there's a huge challenge in front of cognitive scientists to figure out how to understand these things in humans, and then we can think about artificial intelligence. So, do we really believe that we can create artificial Albert Einstein or Nikola Tesla or Stephen Hawking or Mary Quant or Leonardo da Vinci? All these people, Nikola Tesla was thinking that sex is distracting him from his work, and he was actually denying himself sex, and he had a strong fear from hair. Stephen Hawking couldn't survive without help of the others, and just a century ago he would die immediately. Mary Quant was attacking the basic social norms, cutting women's skirts extremely short. Leonardo da Vinci was not only a scientist, he was making a lot of jokes. And the greatest history is Amadeus Mozart, who was composing wonderful music when he was age 4. Can we create this? We don't have artificial intelligence. We have only algorithms for specific tasks. They don't have reason, values, and emotions. But they can do many tasks we used to use, and humans will no longer have to do that. So maybe we don't have artificial intelligence, but we have wonderful technology. What we do have, and you have at your disposal for decades now, your memory sticks that you have in your pocket or in your phone can actually contain all lectures, if they were recorded, that you ever listened to, all books that you will ever read, all news that you will read, all films that you will ever see. All the knowledge you have can be stored on this single card or stick. When you get on the internet, you have all human knowledge, previous and current, at your fingertips. Your computers in your mobile phones are extremely powerful. They can process huge amount of data. We still don't use this. And then you and your children can use mobile phones and computers to communicate with any person of this planet, anytime, about anything, in word, in picture, in video, in text. This is something unimaginable. Only 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we didn't have anything. 30 years ago, we started building internet. 20 years ago, we got these mobile phones and all this stuff. And now it has tremendous power. How do we use this in teaching and learning? Are we really using it? Only superficially? How do you, in your teaching and your running schools, how do you use everyone's ability to publish? How do you use multimedia? How do you use this ability to search for the full text? Only 20 years ago, if I was doing research, I had to go to my library in my department and read every article in every magazine that we had in library. And if I didn't find information, go to the faculty library and then university library. It would take me days, weeks, months to read. Now I just type in keywords and I get all the relevant texts published in the world in a couple of minutes. It's tremendous. How do we use this in teaching and learning? Ability to use other people's products, pictures, sound, images, text, formulas, data, and recombine them in something new, to build on somebody else's work, to collaborate. How do we use this in teaching? Or are we still forcing students to do everything by themselves and everything originally? And finally, how do we use this artificial intelligence, machine learning that we have right now? The problem is that the education system that was created, that we use today, was created for this world 150 years ago, even 200 years ago. And today we live in this world, completely different world. And our educational system and methods is basically the same. Schools used to be the place where the knowledge is stored. Knowledge is in school library or in teachers' heads. Today, it's no longer so. Learning was happening only in schools. It's no longer so. On the left side, this is 100 years old, and on the right side, it's from the last year in my university. Nothing has changed, and the world has changed. Knowledge is everywhere, and learning is everywhere. In the field, in the production, in the nature, in your palm. Learning needs to be everywhere. We need to learn while we do something in the field. We need to learn while we research. We need to do something while we are on vacation. We need to do while we are creating art or something else. Learning is in every moment, everywhere, not only in the classroom. Let me give you just a few examples of how these are very well known things. Google as a browsing machine, as a search engine, massive open online courses, videos. YouTube is prime example of all sorts of videos, and then all sorts of social groups, social communication, social media, and then ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, and other chatting devices, and Wikipedia, which is tremendous source of information. There are a lot of studies how the quality of Wikipedia articles, and it shows that it's not worse than any other encyclopedia in the world. The examples I would like to show you, for example, sorry. Look at these visualizations. Each of these animated GIFs is just a few seconds. If we would use things like this in our teaching, when every time we explain something, if we would find on internet some short, couple of seconds animated GIF or a video that illustrates what we are talking about, our teaching would be tremendously better. So instead of us telling them, instead of drawing on a blackboard, using this very illustrative, very instructional, short visualizations. Let me give you an example which I admire very much. Look at this example. I don't know how to use this in teaching directly. Not only this video, but this technology, but it's fascinating and certainly stimulates me thinking, what can I do of teaching to be more attractive, more illustrative, more informative, simply better teaching. Look at this. On the right side, you have recording from electron microscope. And on the left side, this is just colored to make it more interesting and distinguished. The orange thing that is walking is a protein called kinesin. And it is dragging this red ball. Red ball is a molecule of endorphin. Endorphin is hormone. They call it hormone of happiness. When this molecule is brought to your frontal range of the brain, look at this. Something very counterintuitive. Well, this is the concept of preservation of a moment of inertia. And it's not very intuitive, and it's not easy to explain to children. And we do use some experiments in classroom, but there is no better experiment than this one. And this one can only be done in a space. And it's already done, and it's recorded. So we can't outdo it. We can't do better than this. And it's already there. We can use it for free. Virtual laboratories, as I said, a wonderful tool. There is tremendous potential of using the virtual laboratories in our teaching. Mathematics has got a new teaching. This is quadratic formula. And you can finally make mathematics live. You can see mathematics, which we previously couldn't. So this is wonderful technology for visualizing math. And let's see extended reality. You can hold the card in your hands. You can rotate it, you can explore it. And also you can play with technology to create art. Isn't it beautiful? Visualizing music or hearing sound of visual things or interacting with an art piece. These are just some of the examples. With technology, impossible becomes possible. I asked artificial intelligence to draw Yoda from Star Wars in a Modrian's fashion, to put some old Yugoslav car on the Mars, to put octopus on the main square in Zagreb, or to play with Mona Lisa. You can create impossible things. Actually, your power is unlimited. Here I speak Chinese, which I of course don't speak. But there is an application where you can record yourself talking in any language and it will create video you talking in any other language. So your powers are unlimited. So the real question for us teachers, educators of all sorts is, what can we do better than these examples? What information can we give? What explanation can you make? Demonstration, experiment, discussion, or answer? Because children, if they are motivated, they can get all these by themselves when they need it, how they need it, from all other sources. So is it really our role to give them information, explanation, experiment? What is actually our true role? What is that we need to do? Because we have fixed duration education, and we have put kids according to their age. We know that some kids are more advanced in math than their classmates and less advanced in physical, or better in language than in math. So we don't group them according to their abilities, but rather on the age. We fix them to be the fixed amount of time in the classroom. Some students need less, some students need more. Grading. Nobody wants to hire someone with the lowest grades, but we still have this system. We try to be fair, so we provide equal amount of time, textbooks, and attention to all students, but then we get different outputs. We would like to have doctors and lawyers and engineers of the same competence. Some need more time, some need more textbooks, some need more something else. So we need to change the input for every individual in order to get the same output from all of them, the best output they can give. Then teaching by subjects, teaching in 45 minutes, teaching in classroom, and learning in school. These are all old-fashioned things which no longer are the best solution for us. Education we need to create needs to be personalized. It should be tailored for the student, the pace they need, the breadth and the depth of the knowledge they need in that moment, the style of learning, and the style of teaching. It has to be anytime, just in time, everywhere, anywhere, when they need it. It has to be practical. They need to be able to apply the knowledge. When we say, well, you have to learn this, you will need it once in your life, or you will need it next year, or you will need it next month, or you will need it next week, is wrong. We need to start from the need, from the problem they need to solve, and teach them. We force them to do individual things in a school, but when they get employed, we immediately ask them to work in a group, in a team. So our teaching should be collaborative, not individual. Our teaching should be, and learning should be inspirational, attractive, exciting, beautiful, empowering, motivating, supportive, and above all, it should be pleasure. When I say that learning should be pleasurable, it doesn't mean easy. And the comparison I make, I don't know how many of you ski, but if you go to ski for the whole day, at the end of the day, you are cold, you are wet, you have some bruises, you have less money, you are hungry, but you still want to go to ski next day. So learning is, there should be effort, it's difficult, but it shouldn't be unpleasurable. It should be joyful and pleasurable. So how does your teaching and learning look like? I'm sorry not to be so much late, so that I cannot stop now and ask you, and I hope that after the presentation we'll have the few minutes of ability that you talk, and you tell me wonderful examples how you use this technology to change, to transform your teaching and their learning. What is your experience as a learner? When you go to learn something new, how do they teach you? This is example from Oxford University today. They still teach like this. This is useless. This is another example of a modern online lecture. Again, I think this example is how teaching should look like today, please.
Predrag, if possible, in 2 minutes, if possible, to finish and to have short discussion.
Okay. This is how our online and digital teaching should look like. So, innovation in education is something that is required from all of us. And we cannot improve the candle to get the light bulb. We cannot improve existing education. We have to rethink education. You have to be very innovative. Why do you need a teacher? When you learn something, why do you need a teacher? Why do you need a school? Who should pay? Who the knowledge belongs to? How can we be sure that you know? What kind of certificates do we need, etc.? This is all to be rethought. So what I encourage you, do not use things, do not do things because it has always been done that way, because it is popular, because no one does it differently, because it is safe for you. Do things differently. Use things that make students learn better, that are motivated and happier, that you are motivated and happier. Do things that you would like to have as a learner, as a student, and do things that make you happy as a teacher. We need to think out of the box. What are the problems in current education? I would like to hear from you that are hardest to solve, that are most urgent to solve. And to think what methods to solve these problems in education are the most suitable, and how would you use technology? Agent of change, the one who is going to change things, is you. You can't expect that your ministry will tell you, that your agency for education will tell you, that somebody in the world will tell you how to make your teaching and learning better. Do something you never did. Experiment. Don't wait till you're expert to do something. Don't wait that somebody tells you, oh, this is good. Try even if you're not sure if it will succeed. Even if some other people say, oh, this is wrong, don't do it this way. Even if you are afraid, and regardless of the risk for you, do it if you have an idea. Try it. Step out of your comfort zone. We cannot be the best teacher to everyone. We can be a good teacher or best teacher to some groups. So be the best teacher to some students. Be best teacher to students outside of your school, to other schools, and export this, record, put it online. Some of us are good lecture speakers. Some of us create good content. Some of us are good managers. Some of us make good consultants and advisors. Some of us support students best. Decide which is your best talent and do it. Carefully define who you want to work for and why are you doing this. And then focus on this. And use the artificial intelligence. Write as much as you can, because computers will one day be able to understand what you have written. Record your lectures, record your thoughts, your discussions. So that one day computer will be able to behave like you, to explain like you, to discuss like you, to give advice like you. Try to record everything you know, try to put in written or recorded fashion everything you say, think, and believe. Capture your lectures, record interviews, write blogs, make textbooks, tell stories, discuss. So my question is, think, what can you do differently tomorrow? Using the technology, rethinking what you do, rethinking education. Thank you.
Thank you, Predrag. It's really nice, but time is our typical and usual enemy, and we need to finish. Thank you once again for your time and shared ideas and information, etc.